What's up, everybody? My name is Eric VTuber and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to teach you guys how to add video into your environment. Now, there's so many reasons that you might want to do this in Unreal. Maybe you're a VTuber like me and you want to play video inside your environment on a TV screen. Maybe you want to do a new product introduction and you want to stream that content from the web inside your environment. Maybe you're building a video game and you want to add video up on a billboard or somewhere else inside the game. And maybe you're making TikTok videos and you want to add video as a background behind your character. Now, there are several steps that you need to take when adding video into your environment, and we're going to go through every single one of them. This is what we're going to learn how to do today, which is place a video inside of our environment. And what I just did is I typed number 1 on my keyboard to start the video playing. And here's another part of the trailer where you can see there's a different video playing. So if I press 2, it'll restart the video. Now this is a continuous loop, so you probably didn't see a difference. Let me do that again. You can see it started. So you can play videos in a loop. And then you saw I had a different video out here. And I'll just hit number 1 to get that one started. So you can see that both are playing. And now let's take a look on how you build that. Right, to get started, show you guys how to do this, I'm going to grab this TV that I have right here. It's this one that you see that's serving as the background. So let me just do Alt and slide, and that makes a copy of it. I'll put this one back in place. And let's take this asset right here. And I'm just going to move it onto this wall. And I'm just going to place the TV right there. Let me get it nice and centered. So, do you need to have a TV behind it? No, you can place this on any object. In fact, you don't even need to place it on an object, as I'm going to show you. You can just actually put it on a surface. The very first thing that you want to do, really before you start this, is to set up a few plugins. And you'll find the plugins area underneath the edit menu. So I'm going to go to plugins and I'm going to type in Electra, E-L-E-C-T-R-A. And when I do, 4 different plugins come up, and I want you to activate all of them. By default, they are not activated. I already did this because I was showing you how it works. And if you see who made them, Epic Games is actually the producer of these plugins. So the reason that I like the Electra plugins, number 1 is they enable me to play videos that are on my local hard drive, but they will also allow me to essentially stream content into my environment that is on the web. So that is one of the reasons I prefer this as my media player. The other reason is that currently the media player that I'll show you in a bit does not work with DirectX 12. And DirectX 12, I prefer to use that in my environment. I'm running Unreal Engine 5.0, so I want to use the latest. And I think with 5.1, maybe this will be fixed, but currently it's not. Even still, even if I could use the default media player with DirectX 12, I would rather use Electra because if I want to stream something from the web, it enables me to do that. So activate these plugins. When you do change your plugins, as you know, you need to restart the environment. And so let's just assume that I didn't have those installed and I've restarted and here I am. So now what do I want to do? Let me go to my hard drive and show you that I've placed a couple media files inside that. All right, so here is my hard drive. And if you notice, here's the directory structure that you saw in my content browser. And if I go into the movies folder, if you'll notice, I have 2 movie files in here. These are MP4s. I have one called AI Movie and the VR Man Running is the name of that file, even though it looks very cryptic. So I already have in here, well, I've dragged into here 2 video files, and you will need to put them in whatever folder you're using for your content. That is, of course, unless you're streaming videos from the web. That's where they're coming from. But in this case, I have downloaded. Where did I get these? I just went to Storyblocks. I have a Storyblocks license, and I went and grabbed a couple MP4s and downloaded them. Will work with any MP4, though. So now that you know that I've used these 2 videos as you've seen before, let me just Control-click both of them, right-click, and do a copy, and I'm going to put them in the tutorial folder. All right, now I've popped back over into Unreal, and if I open up the tutorial folder, you'll notice I don't see those videos, and that's why I wanted to show you they are in fact on my computer locally in the directories. They just don't show up here, but they are there. So the first step is we need to create a media player. I'm going to right click in this area. I'm going to go up to media right here, and the first thing I want to do is grab the media player. This is a very important box to check. Video output media texture asset. Why do I want to check that box? Because I'm going to use that texture on this screen. So I'm just asking Unreal to make that texture for me, and I'll click OK. Now, if you want to give the media player a name, you can. I'm just going to leave it with the default for right now. If you notice, as soon as I clicked away, it added the media texture. If I double click into the media player, you can see that it sees the two animation files, the MP4s, that are in that folder. So when I click on it and I double click, it is playing. Now let me go and show you in the playback options over here which media player it's using. So if I go down to decoder, you'll notice that I'm using the Electra player, and that's because I've installed it and use that in my project settings. What I was saying earlier is if you want to just use a standard Windows Media Foundation, let me click that, and now when I double click, it's not working. And why is it not working? Because my project settings, let me go over there and show you. My project settings are set, and this is super important, to DirectX 12. It's not compatible. So that's why I do not use the standard Windows Media Player. And let me go back, change my back to DirectX 12. It would have worked with DirectX 11. It's just I don't feel like restarting Unreal. So let me just go back to DirectX 12 and go back into here and change my decoder into Electra. And I hope I don't have to restart. No, we don't. So we'll do restart later. So that's one of the reasons that I like Electra. I'll show you the other one in a moment. Now I want to show you guys, this is kind of outside the scope of this video, but this is really cool. Take a look what's up under here, is that we can do feeds from NDI, if you're using NDI. If you're not familiar with that, NDI, it's a broadcasting software and enables you to run some drivers and do some broadcasting, but also my cam link. So I have a webcam. Mine's actually a Sony, I think, A6100 connected with an Elgato cam link. And you'll notice that you can feed in video feeds. I'm not going to show you that today because it's around inserting your own movie, but very powerful capabilities in Unreal to feed other stuff in here. So before I close this window, now that we know that it's running, I want to point out a couple settings over here. One is loop, and this is looping animation, so I do want to do that. And I'm going to click that checkbox. So now I've saved that this media player, this particular one that I set up right here, is running the AI Running Man. The next step is for me to get the file media source. So I'm going to right click again. I'm going to go up to media, and then you see there's file media source right here, and just choose that. We'll leave the default name for right now, but always good practice for you guys put specific names, but I'm going to double click, and this is where I point to the file. And if you remember earlier, I said why I like the Electra one. I could put a URL in here and have the file source be on the web. And in the description below for this video, I have put a link to a file for those of you who want to try that. You cannot put in something like a YouTube link in here because the YouTube link is actually pointing to the YouTube page on YouTube where your video is. It's not an embed, and so that will not work. You will have to host the video files on a server somewhere unless they're hosted by someone else. But you can put an HTTP path to a server. In this case, we're going to do it locally. I'm going to click here, and if I go into the tutorial folder, which I've now realized I've spelt wrong the entire time, but whatever, and grab the AI movie and open that. So this little object right here is defining where I'm pointing to. We'll be using that in just a bit. Now you're probably thinking at this point, can't I just create a plane and drag this texture onto that plane? Well, no, there's one more step that we want to do, and that is to create a video material. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go up to materials, and I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to double click into that material and add a node to this. The node that I want to add is a texture sample. So I right click and type in texture. And when I see texture sample right there, I grab that node and plug in RGB into the base color. And before I compile, the texture that I'm going to specify in here was the texture that we created. Let me go in here and rename my media texture to TV_texture. And I'm doing that instead of using the default name because I'm going to need to search for it. So when I open up my material, and now I want to define the texture that's connected, I'll go over here to this drop down and type in TV_texture. And there it is. So what I'm doing again is I'm creating a material and I'm specifying the texture sample for that material. Let me click save this time. And the reason that I want you guys to create a material for this is so that you can change some things like, do you want that material to be reflective? And in here is where you can change whether it's emissive. Maybe you want your TV or this wall that you're creating to glow and have some emissive properties to that. And if you did want to, that's why we're creating a material for this. If you have any questions, feel free to post a comment. So to summarize, we created a media player using the Electra plugin. We specified a file source. We created a new material and linked this texture to it. And now we're ready to add it into our scene. All right, we're going to go into the last step. I do want to point out, guys, that I renamed the folder here. And I also did do a restart just because I got that prompt again. And so whenever you get the prompt to restart, always a good idea. Let's finish with our last little step and test it out. We got 2 steps actually left. So we'll come up here and we will add a shape. The shape that I like to add for this is just a plane. So we'll go ahead and put the plane in here and pull it a little closer to us. There is this little white plane. And if you notice, it's not in the right rotation. So let's go up here and click on rotation and turn it this way. Now I find that if I do a 90-degree right here, I'm also want to do a 90-degree right here, but I'm going to leave it for right now so that I show you guys that oftentimes the textures come in with the wrong rotation. Now, what we want to do is we want to take our TV texture and we're going to apply it onto this surface. And when we do that, you can see the video show up there. If by chance you don't see the video texture show up, don't worry because you will eventually get there. I did a test and I ran it once, and so it's kind of rendered and cached, I believe, inside my memory, but you may not see the video at first. The last step is for us to create a blueprint so that we can activate the video. There are different places you could create a blueprint for this, but I'm going to use the level blueprint. And I'm saying that because the code that I put right here is only going to work to play this video when I'm playing it on this level. If I wanted to create a blueprint that was maybe used across different levels, that's something to consider. But in this case, I do all my work in this one level, and so I'm going to add the code to activate that video. Now, I like to show you guys what the code's going to look like before I create it, just to explain it. And what I'm going to do is I'll use a key press. So event begin play, it would play this video when the level started. So if you want to use a node like this, you could do that. Other techniques, you might want to create like a box collision so that you walk. If you walk in a particular area, it's activated by you colliding with that box. Maybe it's opening up a door. In this case, in my environment, I really only do it in 2 ways right now, is start things when the level starts or use a key press. And we'll use a key press for the training. So let me start here by right-clicking and typing in key. And we're going to go down to the keyboard. And why don't we use, let's pick something. How about the key L? So when I press L, I'm going to then want to open up the source. So I'm going to type open source. And as you've seen in maybe some of my other videos, if this is context sensitive, you won't see everything. So sometimes you have to uncheck that. and now you'll see the node that you need. All right, so I'm going to open up the source for the media player. When I press that, I'm going to do this. What I need to do for the next step is, if you see right here, what media source do I want to use? And I'm going to create a variable for that. So I'll come over here on the left. You can see I already have 2 variables, but I'm going to add a third, and I will type the name media player 3. And I don't want to use Boolean. I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to type in the word media player. And when you do that, you'll see a kind of goldish, or at least it looks gold to me, under object types. Just grab media player. And this variable is going to point to the file that we want. Now, when you create a new variable over on the right-hand side, you will not see a place for you to define it until you click compile. So I've clicked compile now and click save, and I get this error, but at least now I can see the variable that I want to define. And what I'm going to choose is the new media player. Why am I picking new media player? That was the media player I created in the beginning of the tutorial. I just didn't give it a more clever, memorable name. And now I'll compile again and click save. Now we need to add one more node, and that is the variable to drop into the target. That's where we're getting that error. I find the easiest way to do that is just take the new variable we created, click and drag, let it go. You're going to choose get media player. We're not setting the media player values. We're getting the media player values. So we click get, and we plug that into target, compile again, and hit save. And now when we push L, we should activate our media player into the media player source. All right. I do like to add comments, so let's draw a box around that. Right click, go down to create comment, play video near window. All right, just so I know what this piece of code does. Compile one more time, save. All right, let's do a little recap, make sure we've got everything set. We press the letter L, opens the source. The media source, you want to make sure it's pointing to that media file source, which specifies what video it is. The media player 3 is the variable that we're using. That variable over here is defined under the default value. We click compile, click save, and everything should be good. Let's run it in our simulator, walk on over, and see if our video is playing. It is not. Should we panic? No, because we got to push the letter L. Now we push L and the video is playing. Now, that's success, except we need to still size it and rotate it. So I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to grab this plane. I'm going to click rotate. By the way, if you haven't watched my other videos, I have a Logitech 502 mouse, and I've got some buttons on it, so I can just click a button on my mouse and get right to rotation. Done there. Let's look at the side. Yep. We've got that all correct, but it's not the right scale. So I'm going to click another button on my mouse, drag it out a little bit, get into that 16:9 proportions. Let's move it back and just far enough so it's laying right on the TV. Slide it over. I'll just do some quick adjustments. I won't take you guys through all the fine tuning, but I'd like you guys to see what I have to do, because you're going to have to do it. And then that's just get everything. Let's make this a little bit taller. Drop it down a little bit. And you can see just a little fine tuning is all that's needed to get things. If it's snapping like this and you can't get it exactly where you want, don't forget you've got these grids settings up here to lock to the grid. I'm going to turn that off. And now I can do a little bit more finer edits, turn the grid back on. And there we go. That's looking pretty good. Let's hit play. Let's run around. Hit our L key. And voila! We have video playing inside of our environment. Before you guys go, I want to let you know that we have a Discord channel, and it's getting pretty active. So if you haven't already joined the Discord channel, there's a link to it in the description below. And if you do have video in your environment, or you're working on an environment, there's a channel where you can post your work and share it with the others, and a lot of us are doing that. So I hope to see you there. Also a great place if you have any questions or just want to meet other members of the Eric VTuber community. And of course, don't forget to click on subscribe. And if you like this video, learn something, really helps the YouTube algorithm and get more visibility for this video if you smash that like button.